Okay, well, let's start that again. I don't know what happened there, but it seemed to be reverberating. So hopefully it's not going to do that again. Oh, I think I know what I did. Okay, so don't unmute when you see that. Okay. All right. Hello, everybody. Sorry about that. I think I've got it sorted now. Welcome to another Thyalwaysseek live stream. And today we are going to continue decoding the Gospel of Thomas. So we're now up to part 5. And we are up to, I was just going through and having a bit of a look at the next verses that we're going to look at. And we got up to 36. So we're going to start looking at number 36. I've changed the live streams to a Saturday night, my time. So I'm hoping that this is going to work because it fits a lot better in my schedule. I do feel I flow a lot better on Tuesday nights. Just seems to be in my schedule. Tuesday nights are, you know, really good for the streams, but I'd rather do it on a Saturday night because it just fits better. But for some reason, Tuesday nights, I just seem to, I don't know. I think it's because I actually, I see something that I really want to address or something, I don't know, and I've got to say it, and it just, yeah. Whereas this is kind of, sometimes it does feel a little like, oh, do I have to? I know I have to. I started this and I've got to finish it. And I do think it's important that we do put this information out there for others because it is such an important scripture. But sometimes I have to admit, guys, I have to be honest, I do feel a little, you know, tired and, you know, kind of not motivated. So it seems to, I start that way, but then as I start getting into it, it does, I kind of, you know, feel, I get my mojo, put it that way. Right, now, just before we start, just want to just say a few little rules for the chat. Could we please not have any chatter? Could we please keep questions for the last half an hour? So we don't mind if you do put questions in the chat if, you know, you think you won't remember it later. I don't have an issue with that. It's just the constant chattering, the constant giving opinion, the constant needing to interact on that level. You know, you probably benefit more if you just kind of not chat, but just introspection and contemplation about what's being said and try and bring it down to a deeper level. Because, you know, it is said, and I do think it was Pythagoras that said it, that the first element of wisdom is losing the ability to chat. So chatting is not conducive with, you know, studying this knowledge. So you have to kind of stop the chattering. There's a place for chat, but kind of when you're trying to take in knowledge and information, it's better to listen rather than think about how you want to respond to it. Oh, you've got something to say. I've heard this, I've heard that. I've got to tell it. I've got to put it out there. That's not conducive with really taking this knowledge into that deeper level. So you want to kind of have more of a introspective mentality, a more of a contemplating what is said and really thinking about it. So that's really it. There really is nothing else other than that. Just yeah, and anyone that's just here to cause problems, anyone that's triggered previously to something I've said and has decided to stalk my channel and my live streams, you will be identified pretty quickly and dealt with, blocked and removed. Other than that, guys, let's get into it because I want to keep these streams around 2 hours. So let's just try and push ahead, to 2 hours, and then at 2 hours I'll just finish it up and we'll continue on, okay, the following week. So I think we're about halfway through. So let's try and get a bit covered tonight, shall we? Right, so as I said, we're up to 36. Jesus said, "Do not fret from morning to evening, from evening to morning, about your food, what you are going to eat, or about your clothing, what you are going to wear. You're much better than the lilies, which neither card nor spin. As for you, when you have no garment, what will you put on? Who might add to your stature? That very one will give you your garment." Okay, so do not fret from morning to evening, or from evening to morning, about your food, what you are going to eat, about your clothing, and what you are going to wear. You are better than the lilies, which neither card nor spin. Now, I had to look at that last part about card nor spin because it was a little bit puzzling about card. Now, this verse does appear in the book of Matthew, and it's in place of card it says toil. Okay, so I had to look a little bit more into the lilies, but let's just bring it back to don't fret from morning to evening, or from evening to morning, about your food or what you're going to eat, or about your clothing or what you're going to wear. So what this is basically saying is that if you are on the right path, okay, if you are aligned with your path to yourself, the correct path, and you are engaged in the works, and you're engaged in having an understanding for yourself and your creator, and you are also using that knowledge that you have gained for yourself, okay, about your soul and about your creator to uplift others, then that path will ensure that everything that you require is provided for you. So I've said this before, and I actually have been looking into the Hindu texts, and I posted something in Keepers of the Flame today in regards to the responsibility we have when we are in possession of this knowledge to utilize the gifts that have been bestowed upon us to help others. And so that is what we are required to do. So it's not just taking and taking and taking and then hoarding it and coveting it for yourself. It's about taking and then continuing to give back as well. So it's if you look at the cup on the tarot card, the Ace of Cups, you'll see that the cup flows over. Okay, the cup is filled up and it flows over. Okay, so that is what you should visualize. You are a vessel for knowledge, and when you are full of knowledge and filled with knowledge to the point where you are confident in what you understand about yourself and the creator, then that cup should overflow to others as well. And so when you are engaged in the works and in helping to uplift the collective, then you need not worry about worldly matters, because all that you require will be provided. Now, when it says, now, there is a disclaimer on that. These scriptures were written for the divine souls. Okay, they wrote them for themselves to discover when they were once again trying to discover knowledge and, have an understanding for themselves as well. It's not to say that mortals can't benefit from these texts, right? When we read them, we benefit from them too, but we have to understand that the texts are written in the context of being for the benefit of the divine. Okay, so they're written with the divine souls in mind. And this is confirmed when I looked at the symbolism of the lily. Now, you see the lily a lot with Mary, okay, and the Annunciation. Now, they say that the Annunciation is in regards to Mary receiving information about her being pregnant with Christ, with baby Jesus. But there's a lot that the Catholic Church have omitted from that symbolism, and that is also that the symbolism of the lily and the Annunciation is also Mary, or the divine female, receiving divine knowledge, receiving information and knowledge, and an understanding for divine knowledge at certain times of the cycle. Okay, and so we're now moving back into that time of the cycle where Christ consciousness is once again permeating the physical plane, and with that we are now elevating consciously. Okay, and we can either direct that conscious, that elevation of consciousness to having an understanding of ourselves, or we can, waste it. And the majority of people are just wasting it. Okay, they're following just fool's errands. Okay, they think they're smart, they think they're in possession of truths, but really they're just chasing their tail, listening to whatever sounds good, whoever appears to have knowledge, whoever appears to be intellectually superior to them. Okay, and that is in the form of the clergy, the corrupted clergy, because they're all corrupted whether they know it or not. And a lot of the lower level clergy, a lot of the lower level priests and pastors are ignorant to the truth. Okay, they're just tools of the Antichrist that are used to push the narrative that they want to ensure that the congregation stays blind to the truth. And so it's the higher level clergy that do understand the truth and are fully corrupted. Now, that doesn't mean that the lower level clergy get a free pass, okay, because they didn't know what they were doing, because the onus is on them to ensure that they're not being fooled and they're not being tricked. And so they are walking the wide path with everybody else, okay, because they've allowed themselves to be fooled. And even like these new age gurus as well, most of them are shills. Okay, they absolutely are there because they are disinformation agents. That is their purpose. But then there are others who are just, indulging in these types of beliefs because they're a shortcut. They're a way to delude yourself that you are spiritual when really you are just fooling yourself. And so a lot of people do take the path of the New Age because it is the lazy man's religion. Okay, it really doesn't require anything of you. I mean, at least in Christianity, you are required to follow some ground rules, But in the New Age, anything goes, and you are literally your own God. You're just making up the rules as you go. You're manifesting your own reality, I mean, it is definitely the spiritual, the religion of the spiritually lazy and mentally lazy. Absolutely. I would say Christianity, modern Christianity, is the religion of the cowardly. So anyway, so the reason that I know that this verse here, now, as I said, there is a bit of a disclaimer about, as long as you're following your path, you don't have to worry about being without what you require. But in saying that, let's apply it to mortals. This also depends on your previous incarnations, okay, and how you traversed those incarnations, because you still may have some karma to work through, okay, or dharma to work through. So I think with Hindu, dharma is your destined path and karma is like sin, okay, that you're gathering on your destined paths, right? So let's just stick with karma. If anyone can correct me, I welcome that. I'm still looking into that a lot because I was always just saying karma. So, I mean, it's not overly important, okay? The definitions of words, we don't need to get caught up in them, okay? We know that they pretty much explain the same information that we're finding in the other texts as well, okay? So let's just stick with karma for now, okay? And look at it as gathering karma is like gathering sin, okay? And dharma being the path that you should be traveling, okay? The path, the best path that you should be traveling, the destined paths before you that your soul should be taking, and not being sent off the path by others or following the dharma of others. Okay, so that is how I am interpreting dharma and karma. As I said, we'll look into that a little bit more in future episodes, but for now I just want to relate it to, if you're a mortal soul and you have some karma that you have to work through, and that means that before the final weighing of the heart, you've got to get rid of any sin that you have been accumulating, okay, over your incarnations. And we do that by actively working towards enlightening and benefiting the collective and the universal, the creation, okay, benefiting creation. And so you may still have to work through a few of these different challenges and tests to help you remove all of that weight that you have been continually gathering over your incarnations, okay? So hello, Anna. Anna has just joined us and she's one of the moderators. So good to see you here. See, we're aligned in our timing a little bit better now because of the nighttime streams. So I know it's not going to suit everyone with the nighttime streams, guys. I'm saying nighttime, my time, because I know it's like so early over in the US right now. But I'm trying to kind of, you know, benefit everybody as well as making it, you know, the best time that fits into my schedule as well. So as I said, you can always watch these videos later anyway. It's not necessary that you have to be, you know, within the live discussion. So the knowledge is going to be out there regardless. So yeah, so the reason that I know that it's aimed at the divine is that when they say you're much better than the lilies, I know that the lilies are relating to the divine because I looked at all of the verses in the Bible that relate or that mention lilies, and they all mention the tribes of Israel, Solomon, and the other symbols that relate to the divine souls. So I know that this verse relates to the divine souls. But as I said, it doesn't mean that mortals can't benefit from this knowledge too, because we're just a degree down from the divine soul. So it just means that we need to add that into a little bit of context when we apply it to ourselves, which means that because we are not God's children, a direct extension from the Creator, it just relates to us a little differently. And so that could be the case in, as I said, we may have to still work through a few different things that we've collected over the last previous incarnations, and that may mean it presents itself to us in this incarnation as a challenge around housing or a challenge around employment. You know, we may have some difficulties in those areas, but we will never be fully destitute, okay? Like if you are looking into this knowledge and you are applying it to your life and you are doing it with a pure heart and, you know, you are totally motivated by the right reasons, and you are also using your gifts to help uplift others, you're not going to be living in a cardboard box on the sidewalk. Okay, you may have challenges, but you will always find a path presented to you which helps elevate you out of those challenges too. Right, and it says, you're much better than the lilies which neither card nor spin. And as I said, the verse in Matthew said neither toil nor spin. So again, it's like the lilies are the way they are, regardless of what they do. That's the divine. So the divine souls are a little different in their destined paths, because their destinies are pretty much written in stone, because they are the direct extension of the Creator, and so they are like his tools. They are like, he utilizes them to bring about certain situations in the script for all of us that we are now literally experiencing in this last degree of the Iron Age. And so that's what it means. It's like, regardless of what the divine soul does, their stature always remains the same. You know, even if they are a cleaner cleaning toilets, they are still his child, and they still have the stature of the divine soul. And it's funny, there was this movie, and I've forgotten what the movie was called, but it had that girl that's called, it had Channing Tatum, and I think her name's Myla, and she ended up being, she was a toilet cleaner, and she ended up being someone that was really important. They kind of played the whole alien thing, and they did it with that angle, but really it was symbolic for the divine. I just saw a clip of it tonight, actually. I might rewatch that one. But that's kind of what we're looking at here with the divine souls. Everyone expects them to be elevated, but they're not. Even though their stature will remain the same in their soul, that mightn't be for their physical incarnation at the moment, but everything they're doing right now is a part of the plan, a part of the divine plan, because they are, as I said, the direct extension of the Creator and his tools. So, okay, and then it says, as for you, when you have no garment, what will you put on? Who might add to your stature? That very one will give you your garment. And so that's talking about the soul again. So it's letting you know that we're talking about the soul, because remember when I said that the garment is a symbol for the biological container, the meat suit, as I say. Okay, so it's just, your garment is just what your soul is clothed in, and you change your garment every incarnation. You change your garment. Okay, so death just means you're taking off your garment, and then birth means you're putting on a new garment. Okay, so when you see garment in the scriptures, that's what it's relating to. So it's saying, when you have no garment, what will you put on? So it's making sure you're understanding that we're talking about the soul. And who might add to your stature? That very one who will give you your garment. Again, who might add to your stature? Well, that would be the Father, God the Father. That's the only one that could add to your stature, because there is no greater than God the Father. And there is nothing else that can add to our soul other than God the Father, other than the Creator. Okay, so let's keep going. Gee, I'm not going very fast. I was supposed to be zooming through these, wasn't I? 37. His disciples said, when will you appear to us? And when will we see you? And Jesus said, when you strip without being ashamed, and you take your clothes and put them under your feet like little children and trample them, and then you will see the Son of the Living One, and you will not be afraid. So again, it's talking about that time in the cycle, at the end of the cycle, when the divine souls are illuminated, okay? And they will appear very different because their souls will literally be shining through their external shell, okay? And it will almost be like they have taken their clothes off. And so that is when we will know who the Christed are and who the firstborn son is, because as I've said, the firstborn son is the highest degree of divine soul created on the physical plane within mankind, okay? And so he will be most illuminated. He will have the most illumination out of all of the divine souls, and he will have the most powerful skills, and he will exhibit the most power, because he is the direct first extension of the Creator. And so he will be the most powerful of all of the divine souls. And so that is when we will know who all the divine souls are and who is the firstborn son, otherwise known as Jesus. It is just a symbol. That name is just a symbol. I've said this previously. I know this triggers a lot of people, especially Christians, because he is their pin-up boy, he is their poster boy, and he's like, you know, it's like a cult of celebrity when it comes to Christianity in these times. Jesus is like their bestie, you know, and even I see some young girls, you know, young females talk about Jesus as though he's like a boyfriend, you know, like they have that infatuation with him, and all it is they are infatuated with a figment of their imagination. It's like as though they are worshipping a celebrity like, say, Justin Bieber or the Backstreet Boys or whoever it is now. I don't know. I think it's the Korean pop stars, K-pop and all that crap. So that kind of that infatuation that they have for these celebrities is how Christians are infatuated with this delusion that they have created, this figment of their imagination that they have created with Jesus, and what they think Jesus is and who they think Jesus is and how they think Jesus is going to be returned or return and be their bestie. And as I always say, you know, sit around singing Kumbaya and holding hands, and Jesus is sitting there holding a little lamb and he's telling them stories, and, you know, they're all just like, wow, he's so awesome, son of, you know, oh no, he is God, because remember, they don't think he's the son of God anymore, they think he is the creator. So totally deluded. In fact, Jesus and his bloodline, his race, are going to return and clean up the mess that we've created, and it's not going to be a pretty sight. So I think a lot of Christians, modern Christians, are going to be in for quite a shock, because Jesus will be returning with a sword, not holding a little baby lamb. And yeah, it's not going to be a pretty sight at all, because, well, look what we've done to the garden while we've been in charge. We're supposed to be looking after the place until they return. Haven't done a very good job, have we? So that's what that one means. Okay. 38. Jesus said, often you have desired to hear these sayings that I am speaking to you, and you have no one else from whom to hear them. There will be days when you will seek me and you will not find me. So again, talking about when the divine portion within the divine soul fades. Okay, this is spoken of, I've said this before, in Plato's Critias about the Atlanteans. It literally says how the portion within them fades, okay, and they become debased, and they basically don't know who they are anymore, okay, and this is what happens, okay? We don't know who the divine souls are amongst mankind anymore. Evil has taken control of our world. Psychopaths are in charge of everything, okay? All of our governments have been infiltrated. If anybody thinks that there's a good politician, then you really need to wake the hell up, because they're all infiltrated and they're all evil, and especially the high-level politicians. There is no good politician. There is no saviour coming to you in the form of a politician. And if you're sucking up the stage show because someone has now presented themselves as your saviour and they're telling you everything you want to hear, then I feel sorry for you that you can't identify that you're being played for an idiot. Because really, I get it that Trump showed himself to be someone that we've never seen before in politics. I get it that people could have been persuaded to believe that he may be someone who was going to drain the swamp and, you know, make the changes that were required to fix our system. But after we saw that he was just more of the same and nothing but an actor and literally changed nothing, supported the vax, in fact calls himself proudly the father of the vax, okay, and filled the swamp with a whole heap of different creatures, okay. I mean, for God's sake, he had Mike Pompeo in his frickin' office. You know, that dude, it doesn't come much more corrupt than him, openly, proudly corrupt than Pompeo. Okay, he did nothing. He didn't save Assange. He didn't change anything. Okay, and if people are still sucking up, and I see that people still are sucking up this whole he's coming back and this time it's going, you know, really, I don't know what I can do to help you people if you still do not understand that there is going to be no political saviour. Nobody is coming to save us. And so they have taken control of our planet. They are all corrupt. They are all evil. They are just playing their part in a stage show, okay? And of course it's a good stage show, because if they weren't good actors at it, if they weren't good actors at pretending to be on my side, you know, on our side when they're controlled opposition, we wouldn't buy the act, would we? It wouldn't work. So of course it has to be a good stage show. It has to be convincing, or it's not going to work on us. But you only have to see the cracks in the facade to see, look at what they're doing to the planet. Look at what they're doing to us. You know, I mean, the world is upside down right now. And every single one of them have played a part in that, regardless of what political brand they are. So you can't just say, well, it's because he was a Democrat or he was a Republican. It doesn't matter. This shit has been happening for longer than just the last 10 years. It's been happening since the bloody 1950s. They've been playing us for idiots. They were literally testing bioweapons on Americans back in the 1950s. You can look that up. Unethical experimentation on Americans. There's a Wikipedia article about it, detailing all of the bio experiments on Americans, unbeknownst to them. Them infiltrate, putting stuff into the atmosphere, into subways, literally giving people diseases, okay? They all did this. There are politicians who are still in office. They're like old frickin' reptiles. You know how like reptiles just live for frickin' ever. And you'll still find some of these politicians still in office or just left office. Have still been in office 5-10 years ago that were around when this shit was happening. On both sides of the political, spectrum. So, right. So don't try and tell me that you are awake if you still haven't got to this part of the script and you're still waiting for some political saviour, or you're still wondering, maybe we just need to rise up. We just need to rise up and wake everyone up. No, that's not happening, guys. That's not happening, okay? There's not going to be any mass awakening. It's done. Put a fork in it. It's done. We're over. Finished. Okay? It's gone. We're gone. There's nothing to do. We're just waiting for the final act now. There's nothing we can do. Nothing. Okay? You're just deluding yourself. You're just going to be a victim. Go back to sleep and be a sheep, because it'll be better for you. Be better for you to just be ignorant, and, you know, ignorance is bliss, and then just get taken out when they play out their final card. Because really, you're not going to do well if you believe that there is going to be some kind of mass awakening, or you're waiting for some hero. You're waiting for some politician to save your ass, because it's not going to happen. They have us. We're already in a digital gulag. We're already imprisoned. Okay, we just haven't seen the bars yet. We're too stupid to see them. But the bars are all around us. Okay? We're already on their system. We're already in their digital prison. Everything we do, they can follow it back to us if they want to. And all they have to do is just play out the last part. They just have to, I mean, we're already in the prison willingly, the digital prison. So just imagine that. And the door's open, but we want to stay in. We're not leaving. We're not walking out the door. And all they got to do now is just close that door and turn the key, and that's it. We're done. We're fully cooked then. But right now, there's nothing we can do. So the only thing we can do is gain an understanding for ourselves and have more knowledge of who we are. Because really, that's where our power is. Because once you know who you are as a soul, once you understand who your creator is, and you understand that we live in a cycle and we're at the end of that cycle now, they cannot control you through a fear of death anymore. And that's what they do. They control everyone through a fear of death. And when you understand that you're a soul and that you're more than just your meat suit, when you understand that you are part of something greater than they are and just the physical, you don't have a fear of death. So that's what that means. It's just pretty straightforward that Jesus isn't going to be here all the time. Okay, he's saying, I'm going. I don't know when I'll be back. I'm not even going to remember who I am anyway. Okay, I'm out of here. But also he's saying it in the context, and I notice that this is how the Hindu texts talk when they speak of Krishna, and Krishna is imparting all of this knowledge. Krishna is not speaking as though he is the divine man, though that is an element of the symbol. He's speaking as though he is the Christ within all of us, because we all have, remember I said we all have a portion of the Christ within us. That's our divinity, and it's just all to different degrees. And Krishna and Jesus just hold that divine portion to the highest degree. Okay, so basically, Jesus is saying that, you will seek him and won't find him, because that will be faded. That portion of you, it won't be easy to find. It's under all of this matter, this gross matter, which is your physical garment. And it's so faded, and there's so much materialism being forced down our throats and at us, that we just are up against so much, such a challenge to try and find our divinity in these times. And they're, these antichrists who have taken control of our world, they are there. That's why they're called the Antichrist, guys. Okay. It's not because they're like devils with horns and, scary and all going to descend and there's a boogeyman coming and he's the Antichrist and he's going to look really evil. No. Okay. The Antichrist is anyone who is against the Christ within you. Anyone who is trying to extinguish your light, your Christ. Okay. That's the Antichrist. Okay. The clergy guy who's telling you that Jesus is God the Creator, he's an Antichrist, okay, because he's trying to get you to have this infatuation, this cult of celebrity with Jesus. He's telling you incorrect information that is basically leading you down the wide path. The Antichrists are everywhere, and if you actually read the Bible, everyone always focuses on, Antichrist is, it's one scary dude. And the Bible literally says antichrists, okay? It talks of antichrists in the plural. It's more than one. And that's because all of the politicians are antichrists, all of the celebrities are antichrists, Okay, anyone working against the Christ within you to keep you ignorant of who you really are is an antichrist. They are against your light. They are trying to crush and put out and extinguish your light. And guess what? They've been freaking successful for 99% of the population. Don't be part of the 99%. Okay. Be part of the narrow path. You know, be one of the few walking the narrow path back to your Creator, because you understand who you really are and you are honoring that light within you, that Christ within you. All right. Oh, and this just leads straight into the next one, which is 39. Jesus said, the Pharisees and the scholars have taken the keys of knowledge and have hidden them. They have not entered, nor have allowed those who want to enter to do so. As for you, be as sly as snakes and as simple as doves. So, it's pretty self-explanatory. The Pharisees are the Antichrists, are the Vatican. Vatican has been in continuous power for 1700 years, handing down power. I mean, you can go back and see the chain of power all the way back to the Council of Nicaea, okay? Continued power for that amount of time. They were able to change up the script. They were able to change up the Bible. They were able to basically consolidate their power, infiltrate every single part of our society, to the point where now everything is infiltrated. There is nothing that has been spared. I mean, they have infiltrated the education department, the science, the media, all religions, even, you know, schooling, you know, as I said, education. I mean, there's just nothing that they have, you know, even the financial system, even our food, okay? And there's going to be food shortages coming, so prepare for that, because everything has been corrupted by them. They have corrupted it all because they have infiltrated and had all of that time to infiltrate it. But as I said, they locked away the knowledge, and but they have not entered. And that is talking about that even though they've hoarded this knowledge, it's meaningless to them, okay? Because they're not going to benefit from this knowledge, because without having to kill and basically slaughter and steal this knowledge, they would never have an understanding for who they are and their souls. The only way they've got this understanding is through evil. And so it's not going to benefit them, okay? It's not going to help them in any way. So those of us who have gone and made a concerted effort to put back all of this information the best we can, because believe me, there's huge fragments of this knowledge missing, okay, especially when it comes to the timing of events, certain events that would help us to determine where we are in the cycle. They would have all this knowledge, okay? We only have what they've allowed us to have in the Bible, which has been very edited. But as I've said, this is why I love the Nag Hammadi Gospels, because they were only discovered in 1945, and the Catholic churches had no ability to bastardize these texts at all. So use them to your benefit, and you know, find your Christ, your light, your divinity, your divine nature, and give them a big FU, because that's basically what you do. When you have an understanding for yourself, you take power away from them, okay? Because their power comes in our lack of knowledge, our ignorance as a collective. That's why all these dumbasses running around who think that, you know, Kim Kardashian and all of these celebrities and influencers, and that is something that they aspire to, because they're idiots, okay? They don't know any better. And they're all basically walking this wide path because they are just completely ignorant of who they are, and even when they do understand that there's a creator, they actually think that the creator is the sun. So they've even been fooled in that way. I mean, I know that the Jehovah's Witnesses are different. They do not believe that Jesus is the creator, but every other sect of Christianity in these times believes that Jesus is God the Father. So, and then it says, as for you, be as sly as snakes and simple as doves. And it's just basically saying, don't do what I'm doing. Because I've just put a big target on my back. But as I said, I didn't even know I was going to uncover all this knowledge when I first started looking into this knowledge and trying to find the truth, okay? And that's why you ask yourself, do you really want the truth? Because people think they want the truth, but when you've got the truth, it's not an easy burden. It's a burden, okay? It is a cross, okay? And that is a good way to see you carrying the cross, because it's like a double-edged sword, okay? On one half, on one part, you know, okay, you know the truth, you know you're a soul, you know you have a divine portion within you, you've got a divine nature, you know that there's a creator, and you know it beyond any doubt. I mean, I know this, okay? Nothing is going to shake my foundations. It's like laughable to even think that anybody would, I laugh when people argue with me on, YouTube videos, and they think that they can say these things, and I'm like, oh no, you've made me doubt. You've made me doubt my faith. Made me doubt my belief. No, it's just laughable. And most Christians are like that, though. That's the problem. Most modern Christians are easily shaken from their foundations, because they don't really have any foundation. They've built their houses on sand. They've built their houses on what people have told them to believe. And anyone who just believes, what I'm saying, has done the same thing. Anybody that just listens to me and never actually goes and does any of their own research and makes sure you're confirming what I'm saying, looks at all the different knowledge, looks and reads all the different texts and scriptures and wants to find the truth, just building your house on sand. But anyway, so one half is you know who you are. You no longer have a fear of death. Okay, so you take your power back. But on the other hand, you become a pariah. You lose friends, you lose family. I don't find it so difficult to operate within the matrix, within the false system now, but initially I did when I had to go back to slavery, because I did, initially I worked from home, so while I was studying, I did have the benefit of being able to work from home, and I had my own home business, so I could do that around it. It was quite flexible, but eventually I had to go back into the matrix. I had to attend slavery to pay my bills, and initially it was pretty hard. The first year or two it was horrible. Now I pretty much, I can go into character and go out of character. It's kind of harder when I do have to spend a long time in character. I do find that difficult still, but for the most part, I am living in the world, but I'm not of the world. And it can be difficult when you first have to traverse that whole playing two lives. You have two lives. You have your real life when you're home, and I always think this is reality when I'm here. And I'm engaging in this knowledge and engaging in discussions with others. But when I'm out there, that's the fake world, that's the false reality. So ask yourself, if you're new to this knowledge, do you really want the truth? I mean, look, you don't really even have to ask yourself that, because if you don't really want the truth, it's known anyway. If you're just here because you think, well, this is a bit interesting. Yeah, some of what she says is, pretty interesting. Oh, I don't really believe that. Don't really believe that. You know, oh, the other channel I was watching the other day, I liked what he said better than what she's saying. I mean, so you're actually just seeing this as a curiosity. So you'll never find truth anyway. So yeah. But for those of you who are really motivated to find the truth, regardless, you do have to understand that there is a price to pay, and that will be, it is a lonely path, but you know, you get used to it in the end, and you know, the more you do it, the more you end up being comfortable in your own company. That's what I've found. You know, I'm okay with being in my own company now, and you just, after, I suppose, you know, 12 years of walking this path, you just get better at doing it, you know, and that's going to be with everybody. So don't feel, if you're just starting out now, that this is how you'll always feel. Okay, because it does get easier. So I just want to tell you, it gets easier. It is good to have others that you can engage in discussion with, that are also interested in this subject. It just helps to be able to bounce ideas off each other and just discuss this subject. But for the most part, you will walk this path alone. It is the hermit's path. So yes, but anyway, so I wasn't as sly as a snake. I was probably as simple as a dove, because I was pretty naive when I first started all of this. Very naive, actually. But as I said, I just wanted the truth. I didn't know what the truth was going to be. I just was just going to keep digging and digging until I found it. And you know, even now, if like I decided, oh, I shouldn't be talking about this, you know, I might get on somebody's radar. I mean, they literally would have burned me at the stake 500 years ago for talking about this stuff. But it's too late now, because I've got a digital footprint. So, you know, in for a penny, in for a pound. May as well just go all in now. That's what I've decided, because as I've said too, there is just this innate part of me that wants to get this information out to others. Partly because, well, I do want to help uplift others, because it is taking our power back as a collective. Also because I really care about children, and I know children with ignorant parents are not going to fare very well. And also because, as I said, when we're taking back our power, like every time I'm imparting all of this information that I've, you know, put back together over the last decade, and it strikes a chord with any one of you out there to that level where it starts becoming knowledge to you, and you know who you are on that, you know, deep level, then I've just given another FU to the Antichrist. It's like, you know, they don't want us to have this knowledge. So every time I'm helping somebody to understand this knowledge and themselves, I've just taken a little bit of power away from it. It's only a tiny bit, makes no real difference in the grand scheme of things, but just makes me feel more satisfied that, you know, they didn't succeed in completely destroying all of this knowledge. They tried their hardest, but they didn't succeed. And that's even, you know, if they capture anyone that has this knowledge. I mean, you know, no matter what they do to the physical body, they can never destroy the soul. So they might win the battle, but they'll never win the war. They'll never destroy the soul. They'll never destroy that part of, you know, who we are. So that doesn't really bother me either. Okay, Jesus said, a grapevine has been planted apart from the Father. Since it is not strong, it will be pulled up by its root and it will perish. Well, I don't really need to tell you guys who that relates to. Anybody that's new to this stream, that relates to mortal man. Okay, they were planted apart from the divine souls, who are a direct extension of the Creator. And I've said before, we can view them as the anchor. So when we see the symbol of the anchor in esoteric symbolism, that's what it's relating to. It's like God threw an anchor down to the physical plane, and that anchor was the divine souls. And then from the divine souls, the mortal man were created. So it's this chain of being that links from the highest, that is up into the ethereal plane, and then as it goes down, as we link down by degree and degree and degree into matter, it gets more denser and denser and denser. So on the physical plane, the divine souls are more dense in matter than the angels and the angelic beings who remain in the ethereal plane, because they're a higher degree up. But then below the divine souls, we've got mortal man, and he's even more denser than divine man. So basically that's what that relates to. And since it is not strong, it will be pulled up by its root and it will perish, which means that we have to prove our worth. We don't just get to pass into the next cycle because we're not divine, okay? Well, we have to hope that maybe we are. Nobody knows, okay? But you can't think that way, because it's like putting all your eggs in one basket, and you think, well, I don't have to worry because I'm divine, and you delude yourself with all of these reasons why you may be divine, and then it turns out that you weren't. How's that going to work for you? So you don't think in that mentality, okay? Until we know for sure who the divine are, and that's not going to be until the illumination happens, or the transfiguration as it's called in the Bible, or the star card as it is in the tarot. Until then, you just consider everybody around you as possibly being divine, so treat them with kindness, okay, no matter their stature in life, whether they're a cleaner or whatever, but you consider yourself to be mortal, and that you'd have to do the work to prove your worth to the universe, because the universe wants to know that you're contributing to creation. And the only way you can contribute to creation is to be aligned with divine laws. Aligned with the divine laws, seeking out knowledge of who you are, seeking out knowledge of your Creator, because that shows that you have worth to creation. Okay, these souls who are just, empty and cowardly, spiritually and intellectually lazy, they are not proving any worth to creation at all, and they will just be swept away into the abyss, never to be thought of again. All of their consciousness will be wiped from existence, their identities wiped from existence, they will never be known. YouTube stars, influencers, Nobel Prize winners, all of them gone, never to have existed. This is what's coming for humanity, for mankind. Only those who have been proven worthy because of their own actions in gathering up knowledge of themselves and creation and their Creator, they will be found worthy to move forward into the new cycle with the divine, who will just go through. The divine are, as I said, they're the direct extension of the Creator. They're going to go through into the next cycle regardless. They're only bringing a certain weight of souls through into the next cycle with them. So we will be weighed and measured. This is what's known as the weighing of the heart, last judgment, all of those, Islam has a name for it. The Hindu have a name for it. The Norse, it's that time of the cycle when all truths will be revealed and we will all be seen for who we really are. Right. Jesus said, whoever has something in hand will be given more, and whoever has nothing will be deprived of even the little they have. So this is relating to our tests. So you probably at some point of your incarnation, no doubt before you started gathering knowledge, looked at people who had an abundance of materialism and were envious and were like, well, why can't I have the big nice house, and why can't I have the big car, and why can't I get to go on trips around the world and have all the nice clothes and the nice jewelry and everything. But the problem is that the rich have a much harder time of aligning themselves with divine law, a much harder time of finding who they are, because everything is given to them. They're like the Colburn Bible has a really good verse, and it says, the indoor plant who has been sheltered its whole life. You have an indoor plant, it's been sheltered, it's been fed, it's been watered, it's been protected. A storm comes, right? And it goes outside, and a storm, and the wind blows, and it just blows it out of its pot. Its roots are so shallow, okay, it can't withstand any tests at all. But the tree that's been put outside and has been tested and tempered and challenged, its roots have gone deep, deep, deep down, and it's firm, it stands its ground. And so when the wind and the storm comes, it doesn't get blown over. So that's why we should be thankful for our challenges. I know at the time it doesn't seem like it. Believe me, I've had some challenges where, I've not felt very thankful at all, but a lot of the times we bring about our own misery. There's that, I've learnt. But there's also those challenges that we've endured have made us stronger. So you want your challenges. And it's also, it brings to mind a verse where I don't know it word for word, but it's basically saying, don't pray to God to give you an easy life or to make a situation easy. Pray to God to have strength to see you through that situation, to see you through that challenge. So that's what we want to do. We want to be tested. We want our mettle tested. We want our challenges, because it gives us a chance to work through our karma, to remove the weight that we've collected over our incarnations. Whereas the rich people, well, they've got no reason to have any challenges. Everything's just given to them. So feel sorry for them, because this is it for them. This is it for them. This is the extent of the reward that they will get in this life. I'm not saying that is the case for everyone. There's certainly some people who have an abundance of materialism and use it to help others. Money in itself isn't evil. It's the love of money. It's, you can have an abundance of wealth and use it for good. It doesn't necessarily mean just because you're rich, you're automatically evil. It's what you do with that materialism to help others. And there are people, very few, I admit, that do use their material wealth to help others. Right. Jesus said, be a passerby. So that's it, number 42. Just be a passerby. Again, this is about being in the world, but not being of the world. Okay? Do what you are required to do to exist in the system, but don't be so involved in the system that it becomes your full identity. Okay? It's not to say that you can't have pursuits in which are not of the intellectual type, okay? But it's important that you don't allow that to shape who you are completely. Whatever you do in life, do not make it be who you are, the full extent of who you are. Understand what is of the world and what is in the world. And you want to be in the world, just being part of the system, especially at this time. Okay, just being a passerby. Okay, just having to do what you have to do to survive, but not partaking in that world to the level where it becomes your identity. You know, like, don't be one of those people where your career is fully who you are. You know, your job is fully who you are. You know, you take it home with you, that is you. You know, there's plenty of people that do that, and it's pretty sad, because that is just a very shallow way to live life. And a lot of these people are so empty. Most of them are on depression medication, you know, or they drink too much, or they're doing drugs or whatever to numb themselves, because they're just so empty. They're so empty. You have to fill yourself. You have to fill yourself with spiritual food, okay? You have to drink from the cup and fill yourself, because otherwise it doesn't matter what you add to the outside and materially, you're still going to remain empty inside unless you fill that part of you. His disciples said to him, this is number 43, his disciples said to him, "Who are you to say these things to us? You don't understand who I am from what I say to you. Rather, you have become like the Judeans, for they love the tree but hate its fruit, or they love the fruit but hate the tree." So this one is pretty interesting. So what happens is those who are following the Christ, as in the teachings of Christ, are hated in these times. Okay. But they love those who hate the followers of Christ, even, and I'm talking about modern Christians. I'm talking about these people too. These are the Judeans, okay? They think they're so religious and they're so spiritual. I just had one of them tonight calling me all sorts of names because I refused to say that Jesus is God the Father. Now, this person thinks that they are spiritually superior to me. They think that, they have the right to abuse and insult me. I mean, it's really interesting how nasty they can get and how abusive they can get, and the name calling. I always try and keep things very neutral. You know, I don't really, start with any name calling. I just stick to the facts. And it's interesting how easily they just will start abusing you and and calling you names and reducing any discussion to personal insults when they cannot get you to agree with them. And this is what happens when a person is walking the true path of Christ, the narrow path. Okay, those who are on the wide path, they hate you for being on that path to truth, because you are shining a light on their darkness that they do not want to see, their cowardness. Because anyone that's following modern Christianity is a cowardly person who has darkness within them. Because if you really were a seeker of the teachings of Christ, if you really were a follower of Christ, because that's what Christian means, it literally means to be Christ-like, you would read the scriptures and interpret the scriptures in the way that they are written. And I can give probably about 25 verses where Jesus is separating himself from God the Father. I can give verses where Jesus is literally saying he is the Son. When the Jews accuse him of blasphemy, he's confused and he says, "Because I said I am the Son." So the Jews are literally accusing him of making himself equal to God the Father. And Jesus responds to them in confusion and says, "Because I am the Son." Like, I don't think you need any other verse in the Bible other than that one to know that Jesus is not God the Father. But see, they won't listen to Jesus. They won't listen to the Christ. They hate the fruit. They will listen to the clergy, to the men. They don't listen to the Christ. They listen to the men, the teachings of men, not the teachings of Christ. All right. Jesus said, whoever blasphemes against the Father will be forgiven, and whoever blasphemes against the Son will be forgiven, but whoever blasphemes against the Holy Spirit will not be forgiven, either on earth or in heaven. So again, this is about, so the Holy Spirit is with anybody who is teaching this knowledge. Okay, so when I'm teaching this knowledge, I'm working through the Holy Spirit, or the Holy Spirit is working through me. That's not to say that, you know, I'm special. It's to say that when you're aligned with divine law and the veil is removed and you start understanding this knowledge, you are working through the Holy, you know, the Holy Spirit is working through you. Like, so I am a voice now, working through the divine nature of the Creator. You know, that I am expressing divine knowledge on the physical plane. Okay, so anybody then who comes along to my streams and starts ridiculing me, ridiculing what I'm saying, abusing me, you know, or abusing not just me, anybody who is relaying this truth, this knowledge, is not going to be forgiven for blaspheming against the Holy Spirit. So it's different than someone who just basically ridicules Jesus, the symbol of Jesus, or even, you know, calls God the Creator the, what do they call him, the spaghetti monster or whatever. That's that, you know, Antichrist's little psyop that they have, and they think it's all funny that they call God the spaghetti monster and the whole thing, and they have pictures of him, and it's like that stuff is just, it's not even, it's not even important, because it's not really dealing with the knowledge. It's when you're relaying this knowledge, this sacred knowledge, to help others and to enlighten the collective about their Creator and their soul, that is when you are blaspheming. That is when it's a, you know, it's not a good thing to do. So yeah, so that's pretty much what that means. 45. Jesus said, grapes are not harvested from thorn trees, nor are figs gathered from thistles, for they yield no fruit. Good persons produce good from what they've stored up. Bad persons produce evil from the wickedness they've stored up in their hearts, and say evil things. For from the overflow of the heart they produce evil. And so that's just literally pretty much repeating what I said about these modern Christians, and you're having a difference of opinion to them. Okay, I have every right to say that Jesus is the Son of God. There are many, many verses that I can provide that back what I am saying, and that does not mean that somebody who is relaying that information deserves to be abused, ridiculed, or called names. That people that react in that way, that's coming from a very dark part of who they are. That is an evil within them. As I've said, most of these modern Christians are cowards and are workers of darkness and evil without even knowing. They're just ignorant tools of evil, and they have no clue that they are, basically perpetuating the evil actions of the Antichrists all over this world. And they think that they're so righteous and they're so spiritual and good, and they're completely the opposite. But, even Manly P. Hall says that about if somebody is a victim of fraud, is it always just the person who's played the fraud to be blamed, or does the victim have some blame? Because there is something within someone that allows themselves to be fooled in the first place. It's this, most people have a potential or have a predisposition to want an easy path, a shortcut. And that's the problem. When you have a shortcut mentality, then you are a target for fraud, because people can tell you what you want to hear, and that sounds good to you because you want to hear something that allows you to get a free pass. You know, like I saw this modern Christian on one of these videos saying like, oh, you know, the rapture's coming, and it's almost here, and he's like all excited. He's like, the rapture's coming, and then the tribulation. And I'm like, no, it's the other way around. Okay, you're not going anywhere, mate. You're not getting out of this, all right? None of us are. Not even the divine souls are getting out of this, all right? We're all going through this. This tribulation is coming. It's going to be horrific. And there is no, you know, beams coming down from heaven to suck you up so that you get to have a free pass. You know, but notice how, you know, this is such a popular belief amongst modern Christians, this rapture. And that's because they want a shortcut, okay? It's already working through a darkness within them that wants to believe in this fraud. And it's just like people that want to believe in that prosperity gospel. There's already a darkness within them. There's already an evil within them that makes them susceptible. Okay, that's the word I was looking for. Not this predisposition, but more they're susceptible to this because there's something within them that makes them able to be targeted and fooled. So, you know, if you're operating from a place of honesty, a place of truth, a place of purity, then you will not be fooled by these frauds. You will not be fooled. Okay. Jesus said, from Adam to John the Baptist, among those born of women, no one is so much greater than John the Baptist that his eyes should not be averted. But I have said that whoever among you becomes a child will recognize the Father's kingdom and will become greater than John. So from Adam to John the Baptist is just showing the different creational operations of the divine on the physical plane. So we've got the first ever creation of divine man, the very first time that divine men were created, when the entire, you know, solar system was created. I was speaking about this in the previous live stream I did in regards to the black hole sun and the different astronomical events, the significant astronomical events that have been happening. And actually I might even do another live stream on Tuesday because I've got something else to bring you guys about that. Very interesting and very significant. But so there's two times. So there's the first time, so Adam and Eve, that's when creation came into being. Okay, everything was created. Who knows when that was? Could have been millions of years ago. Okay, could have been 100,000 years ago, could have been 500,000 years ago. I don't know. Okay, I'm not even going to try and pretend to know. It resets every 26,000 years though. I do know that. So the great year is 26,000 years. It's called the year of the soul, whereas the solar return, which is the year of the material body, is every year. Okay, so every 26,000 years we also have the incarnation of the divine souls and the illumination of the divine souls in the golden age, and then we know that divine portion fades. Where we are now, we don't know who the divine souls are, we don't know who Jesus is, we don't know, you know, God has withdrawn from the physical plane. We can also see it that way in this age, in the Iron Age, and now we're seeing this return. This is why our consciousness, the first signs of it were that we were enlightening consciously, okay? And from the mind goes the soul, okay, and the material as well. But it's the mind, okay? The mind is enlightening. We are consciously expanding right now. And as I've said, we've taken the false path because the antichrists have led us down the path of materialism and technology. And we're also, you know, absolutely impressed with technology that we think we're so smart, and we don't dare question all of these scientists and these really smart people that are building all of these machines, and we think that this is the correct and true path, where it's not. It's the false path. We should have actually aligned ourselves spiritually with this conscious awakening and gone internally, gone within, and aligned ourselves back to nature more, like what the ancients did, you know, whereas we haven't. We've separated ourselves from nature completely. So so that's what it's talking about, from Adam to John the Baptist, just showing that the difference between the first creation and then the creation of the divine man through his incarnations. And so John the Baptist is another symbol for the Christed, so the firstborn divine son. This is why you see Saint John is connected to the symbol of the eagle, okay, and the eagle is connected to the tribe of Dan, and the eagle is also connected to Jesus. Okay, so there's multiple symbols, even in the Bible, that relate to the firstborn divine son. Daniel, the prophet Daniel, is another symbol for the firstborn divine son. Okay, and as I said, St. John, John the Baptist, the eagle, the creature, you know, the four creatures, well, the eagle, the tribe of Dan. So there's many symbols that relate to the firstborn divine son. Again, what the antichrists have done is just grab hold of one symbol and made it a personality, you know, and it's the cult of personality now. That's what Jesus is. He's their poster boy. It's completely the cult of personality. They've used that mentality within the hive mind, you know, within humans, always looking for that, you know, hero, and then they've just created this this hero for them out of Jesus, and then they've made him God the Father. Okay, and he's not. He is a God with a little g. Okay, he's not God the Father. He's not the creator. He's just a little g God. And we were created through him, because his part of his restitution, part of his that makes him who he is on the divine plane, on the physical plane, we need to create other physical bodies. Okay, so that's why it's through him. And as well, that chain of that linking was required as well. So through Jesus and Mary Magdalene, because Jesus and Mary Magdalene were the divine souls, the divine tribe, male and female. Through them we had the demigod, remember, little baby Jesus, and then through baby Jesus we have the mortals, and then it just keeps going down in degrees. So that is through Jesus everything's created. That's what that means too. So not only his I don't know how to describe. So his the makeup of what he's made up of, as well as him being the vehicle of what everything was created from. So when first creation happened as Adam, all the other divine came through Jesus. He was the firstborn, and then it was an order of creation through him. That was how the first operation, divine operation on the physical plane, happened with Adam. And so that's what that means, okay? When people are like, oh, you know, they talk about it as, you know, I'm the way, you know, the only way to God is through me. And, you know, I don't know the complete word by word. But, yeah, they all say it. And that's why they say Jesus is God, the creator. Okay. And then it says, among those born of women. Well, of course, the divine have to be born of women now. This is why women are sacred. This is why women shouldn't be sluts. This is why women shouldn't be whores. This is why women shouldn't be dressed like tramps, okay? Because they are sacred, because they are part of divine operation. They bring forth life and they bring forth creation, okay? And without women, God could not procreate, like we could not procreate and bring forth souls, okay? So the woman, female, is required for God to be able to bring forth souls onto the physical plane, because remember, that's how the Creator experiences himself, through us, through creation, okay? Through creating us. That's why we are made in the image of God. It doesn't mean that God is a human up in the clouds, okay? It means that we are the highest biological form of living life on God's kingdom, and God can experience himself fully through us, because we are conscious, we have feelings, emotions, we feel awkward, we blush, we feel embarrassed, we feel all of the emotional spectrum that animals don't, okay? Yes, God is also experiencing himself, and I say himself, and I always have to have that disclaimer, all right, because God is androgynous, all right, but I default to the male because I just prefer that, just personally. So God is experiencing himself through everything, through the trees, through the animals, through the insects, everything. Everything is God experiencing himself, okay? Not just us, but we are just the most superior organ of God, okay? It's like we're one of his sense organs, okay? And this is how he experiences creation, through us in the most elevated way, okay? Now, that's why I say that women need to honor themselves and see themselves as sacred, and why the Antichrists have gone out of their way to turn women into proud sluts and whores, and this whole thing of like women can just like wear whatever they want and it doesn't matter. And, that's empowerment. If they're showing tits and ass, that's being an empowered female. They never talk about the female intellect, though, do they? Whenever they're empowering female, it's always to do with their physical appearance. Isn't it funny? You look at every time they talk about empowering females, and it's always about, oh, well, I'm just going to show my fat ass to the world and be empowered by that. Because, everybody is beautiful. Even whales. Even fat-ass whales are beautiful. And I can just be empowered by showing my fat ass off to the world. And you all have to tell me I'm beautiful. I mean, that's what they're telling these women now, all right? So these women can just be fat, lazy lumps of lard. And literally, they're just showing off their lard asses and their big, fat bodies to everyone. They're obese, disgusting looking bodies to everybody. And then people lie and call them beautiful. And people really do lie. And that is, can you imagine, like, when you lie, you're creating weight in your soul. And all these people who think that they're doing nice things by calling these fat whales beautiful, it reminds me of the, the path to, what is it? The path to hell is paved with good intentions. Yeah. That comes to mind. So women are sacred, okay? Doesn't mean women get to be bitches, all right, and treat men like pieces of shit, which is what women do these days, and blame all of their own failures on men, okay? Women need to step up. They need to honor themselves and honor the sacredness within themselves. They need to understand that they don't have to try and be men, okay, by trying and matching a male in strength and going and doing his job and looking like him or talking like him or being him. You can still be a woman and feminine and have power in that as well, okay? And that's exactly what women did in, the times where women weren't openly powerful. say in the medieval times and, you know, the Renaissance time, when women were literally just arm pieces, okay, they had no power at all, okay, but they did have power behind doors, okay, so that was where the power was, okay, so there is power. Sorry, I'm trying to get comfortable in my chair here. Yeah, there is power, but it's a subtle power that they have with their intellect to help men come to and make decisions, and then men, because they're powerful in a physical way and in an assertive way, can help to basically, what should I say, help to, you know, I can't think, help to create the situation, you know, put that in place. So yeah, so that's why among those born of women, no one is so much greater than John the Baptist that his eyes cannot be averted. And so again, that's showing that the divine souls are born of women. Could be a mortal woman as well, could have a divine soul. So you may not be divine, but your child may be, okay? So you need to make sure that you're being a good example, because you will be weighed and measured for that. If I saw something really bad today. I don't really want to bring up personal stuff, but I actually saw a mother using her children to steal. And I know people probably think I'm very naive because I've never seen that before. And at first I didn't realise that. I actually just thought it was a mistake, and that the little girl had actually taken it and then ran over to her mother and given it to her mother, and the mother was going to return it because it was all a mistake, and she was just a little tiny 3-4-year-old, and she didn't really know what she was doing. And it was only later, after I processed the whole situation, that I realised that the mother had actually instructed the child to go and steal the property and bring it to her. So, you know, this is what's happening in our society, all right? So, you know, females, I'm just really disgusted with modern females. I'm disgusted not only with those types of females, and they're just, you know, literally animalistic now. I mean, who does that? What kind of evil piece of shit do you have to be to teach a 4-year-old to steal? I mean, I can't even begin to tell you the disgust I have for these people, just as a human, okay, let alone a woman, a female. But yeah, females in general are so brainwashed, okay, and I'm actually embarrassed to be part of the female gender right now in these times, because most of them, and not all of them, of course not all of them, but most of them are brainwashed, and I just have no clue, absolutely no clue. And a lot of them are man haters as well. As I said, they just blame their own failures on men. All right, so that's pretty much that. But I have said that whoever among you become a child will recognize the Father's kingdom, and will be greater than John. So again, I've said this before, the Fool card. Before you fill the cup, you must remove the dirty water. Okay? Before you fill the cup has to be clean. Before you start out gathering this knowledge, you must remove yourself of all prior prejudices. Okay? Everything that you believed, your biases, everything, go. You've got to be a clean slate. You've got to be the fool, just setting out, you know nothing, okay? And you have to begin again, because everything that you have been taught your entire life is a lie. So you have to start again, and that's what that means. And it says you'll be greater than John, because if you're immortal and you actually find this knowledge and understand yourself and have succeeded in discovering your divine nature, and that you're a soul, and that you're, you understand your creator, and you understand creation, well, the basic operation of creation, then you are even, elevated above a divine soul who just goes through into the golden age regardless. They can go in ignorant, okay, right up until the last minute. They don't even know who they are. I know it seems unfair, but that happens. There's going to be divine souls that have no clue right up until the last minute. Okay, they're acting out in their vices and the whole thing. And this is why the Antichrists think it's so unfair, and why they hate the divine so much. Because of that. Because the divine can just, completely transgress divine law right up until the last minute. And they'll still go through into the great year, the new cycle, the golden age. But a mortal who has actually gone and looked up this knowledge is greater in the eyes of God, is elevated in the eyes of God over his own child who mucked up and was mischievous and, undisciplined all the way up until the very end, and, passed through into the next cycle anyway. All right, Jesus said, a person cannot mount 2 horses and bend 2 bows, and a slave cannot serve 2 masters. Otherwise, the slave will honor one and offend the other. So you can't have your foot in both. You can't, okay, and I see this. I'll give you an example. Right, I'll give you an example. So I am giving information and knowledge about about the black hole sun, about the way the sun has the center of the sun is a vortex, the electric universe theory, how the filaments, how the sun is externally powered by Birkeland current, like all of that information I was relaying. And somebody said to me, I'm sorry to use you as an example, but you're a good example. Somebody said to me when I spoke about how the supernova had gone, there's been a starburst in the Pinwheel Galaxy in the Greater Bear constellation. Somebody commented under the video that the star had gone supernova, which isn't even a real thing anyway. Supernova is one of their terms, but anyway, let's just use it. 21 million years ago. So this person, even though he's listening to this knowledge and this information, and I'm giving him all this information about the proper physics model of the universe that they have hidden from us, that they don't want us to know, and then he actually goes and uses another part of the physics model that they use and applies it to the subject that we were discussing. So it's like you can't have the best of, you've got to be one or the other. You can't mix them. It's like the person that listens to something, a few things that I say on my live streams, but then he has another favorite channel and he goes over and cherry picks and listens to that because it sounds really good, and he doesn't like the idea of judgment, and that's what I lose most people there. I get it, guys. That's the part that most people don't like, okay? Well, I don't like the part where she talks about judgment. It's very Christian-like. It's very, no, I don't think I agree with that. No, I like everything else that she says, but that part, I just don't accept that part. And then they go over and they'll listen to somebody else's channel who tells them a few things. And yes, I like that. Yes, I'll accept that. So that's somebody that's got their feet on two sides of the fence, okay, or they're serving 2 masters, okay, or they're mounting 2 horses or bending 2 bows. You've got to be single path, single, let thine eye be single, okay. You've got to understand truth doesn't have multiple. I hear this often, everyone's got their own truth. How many times do you hear somebody say that? Normally a New Ager. Well, everybody's got their own truth. No. No. There is one truth. Everybody's got their own perception of truth. But truth doesn't change. There is only one truth. And so the truth is the truth. What I'm relaying here is the truth because I'm just relaying what every single text that I have studied is telling us. The Norse mythology, the Hindu texts, the Christian texts, the Kolbrin, the ancient Egyptians, the Norse mythology, the Peruvians, the Hopi, the Persians. I mean, I can keep going, guys. And they all say the same thing. We live in a cycle. And at the end of the cycle, shit gets real and we get weighed and measured. Okay? So I'm sorry if that, doesn't sound like something people want to hear, but it is the truth. And so if you're one of those people that just doesn't want to listen to that part and it just, no, I don't like that part, you need to find out why that is. Why that part is something that you don't really want to accept. Because the fault is within you. It's not within the knowledge. The fault is within you. So, it takes strength to admit that maybe there is something within us that's preventing us from fully accepting this knowledge in how it's being relayed to us. Right, moving right along. Okay, so it keeps going. Nobody drinks aged wine and immediately wants to drink young wine. Young wine is not poured into old wineskins or they might break, and aged wine is not poured into a new wineskin or it might spoil. And an old patch is not sewn onto a new garment since it would create a tear. And this is about allowing knowledge to solidify within you on a very, very deep level. Okay. So you can't expect, if you're just hearing this knowledge for the first time or last year, okay, to get it at the level that I get it, or that somebody that's been walking this path for 5 years gets it, or somebody that's been walking this path for 8 years gets it, okay? You have to, it's like it ferments in you, okay? You listen to it, you contemplate on it, you process it, you contemplate on it some more, you think about it some more, you read some more, you research some more, you study some more, you contemplate some more, you process some more. I mean, that's how it works, okay? It's like it's fermenting within you and it's permeating through you to a very, very deep level. And it takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. Manly P. Hall says it takes about 5 years. I agree. Looking at my journey and where I started to where I fully pretty much was confident in myself with this knowledge probably was about four to 5 years. Okay. That's don't be disheartened if some of what I'm telling is just going right over your head, or it just sounds so freaking weird, like you've never heard this stuff before. It's really hard to process. That's okay. Okay, just let it sit. Just think about it. Just look for confirmations that you can find in what I'm saying, and then search into them some more. Make other comparisons to other texts, to other mythologies, to other legends, to the symbols. This is how we do it. This is how we accumulate knowledge, and eventually it becomes wisdom because we know it on that level. So that's where we want to get ourselves. So that's what that's saying. It's just saying that you can't pour aged wine and then want to drink young wine, you know, and young wine is not poured into old wineskins as well. You know, it's got to permeate, it's got to ferment, and you've got to allow it to be processed. Allow this knowledge to be processed. I mean, it's a lot of, you know, if you're just discovering this knowledge in the now or in the last year, there's a lot to process. I mean, you've literally been lied to your entire life. Your entire reality is false. That, you know, you go through a little bit of a paradigm shift. Believe me. When I found when the golden mean ratio was put over the artifact from ancient Egypt, and then I used all the Fibonacci numbers to pull out all of this information, right? I literally experienced a paradigm shift that weekend. I don't know how else to describe it. It was like I wasn't even part of reality for a little while. I didn't even know. I can't even explain the mental and even down to my soul experience that I had when this happened. And that's what you're going to experience too. Maybe not to that level. Probably the way it all happened with me is a little different. But you will, at some stage, experience this. It will just hit you, and suddenly everything will fit together and connect. And it's like all of your, it's like synapses, you know, synapses, whatever you know, like your brain is firing, and it's all just like click, 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 click. It's like it all clicks together, and bang, you see everything so clearly. Exactly how it should be. That's going to happen at some stage. Okay, so prepare for it. It will happen. Until then, there's just a lot of digging, a lot of researching, a lot of contemplating, a lot of processing, and not a lot of listening to me and believing in what I say. That's the least of what you want to do. Okay? Because belief will only ever stay belief. And it will not serve you. Belief is not going to help you. It's got to be knowledge. It's got to be wisdom. And the only way it becomes wisdom is that you go and make a concerted effort to go and seek it out for yourself. All right. 48. Jesus said, if two make peace with each other in a single house, they will say to the mountain, move from here, and it will move. So this is relating to the divine tribe. When the divine tribe come together, their power, their skills and abilities, because that's how they were created as a whole soul, and then once they were created whole, they split into male and female, and then they were birthed into their physical containers, onto the physical plane. So when they come together again, it's like two parts of the whole coming back together, and so that will empower them even more. You know, all of their skills and abilities will be amplified, and they will be working together. Okay. 49. Jesus said, congratulations to those who are alone and chosen, for you will find the kingdom, for you have come from it, and you will return there again. So again, all of those that are walking the hermit's path, okay, some are fated, you know, some have taken the correct divine path before them, because we all have many different paths before us. They're all destined paths before us. It's up to us to choose the right path, and you will find the kingdom. If you are walking your path of Dharma, your path back to yourself, you will find the kingdom, because the kingdom is within yourself. And when you find that kingdom within yourself, then God's kingdom will reveal itself to you. I mean, that's literally how it works, okay? Because you can't not know who you are on that level and not know your creator and not know creation. So that's where, and you know, I've noticed a lot of modern Christians don't talk about the soul. You know, I've noticed that they don't talk about the soul. Okay, even their clergy don't talk about the soul. They just talk about, wow, what does this verse mean? You know, and they try and interpret this verse, and they try and interpret that verse, and it's always to do with, you know, having faith and being saved by grace, or the, you know, the works, and there's these little arguments they have with each other about which is correct and which isn't. But they never instruct their congregation about their soul, about who they really are. They never say, and by the way, you're not your physical body, you're your soul, and you have the Christ within you. They never say that. I've not heard one YouTube preacher ever state that the Christ is within, even though it's in the Bible. Even though it's in the Bible. I don't know. In fact, I've actually said that, and if you ever want to trigger a modern Christian, just say that. Just say the Christ is within, and they get triggered. They get totally triggered. You can't say that. You know, it's like, well, it is. It's in the Bible. Are you a New Ager? You're one of those New Age Christians, aren't you? I mean, yeah. It's like they're so brainwashed. They don't even read their own Bible. Jesus said, if they say to you, where have you come from? Say to them, we have come from the light, from the place where the light came into being by itself, established itself, and appeared in their image. If they say to you, is it you? Say, we are its children. We are the chosen of the living Father. If they ask you, what is the evidence of your Father in you? Say to them, it is motion and rest. I mean, I shouldn't really have to keep telling you guys what that means, because it's pretty apparent. Motion and rest. Well, when the light is active within the divine souls, that is motion, okay? The light is active. The light is activated. The light shines. We know who the divine are, because the divine illuminate. But when they are at rest, when the portion of divinity within them fades, then they are at rest. And they are at rest now, because we don't know who the divine are. Okay, and it's literally talking about light all through that parable. So you should actually read that over and over until it really sinks in what is being spoken about there, because that is speaking about the divine souls. There's no other way that could be twisted and misinterpreted other than divine souls. And isn't it interesting that the book of Matthew, which is literally, if you read the Gospel of Thomas and then go read the book of Matthew, you can see that they're almost, you know, they're the same, okay? You can also see where the Catholic Church have edited and left out things in the book of Matthew, or change things in the book of Matthew, because they don't want anybody knowing about the divine souls, or even really acknowledging that they have the Christ within. You don't need a clergyman. You don't need a pastor to have a relationship with your Creator. You carry your church around with you every bloody day, okay? It's in you. That is the church. Okay, it's in you. And the Church of Christ is all of those who have identified the Christ within. That is who his brethren are. Not somebody that shows up to church every bloody Sunday and listens to some dude in a robe tell them what to believe. That's not the church, okay? The church, the brethren, the brotherhood, whatever you want to call it, are those who align themselves with the teachings of Christ. And the absolute first acknowledgement of the teachings of Christ is to acknowledge the Christ within yourself. If you can't even do that, if you're too cowardly to even acknowledge the Christ within, then what hope have you got to even understand any of the other teachings? I mean, really, it's simple as that. His disciples said to him, when will the rest for the dead take place, and when will the new world come? And he said to them, what you are looking forward has come, but you don't know it. I can't tell you how many people don't understand the times that we are in right now. even those who believe themselves to be awake, even those who listen to my streams and watch my videos, some, probably a lot, still don't fully accept what's approaching us. You know, when I talk about thermonuclear war, that they are going to nuke us, World War III is coming, food shortages are coming for the West, communism is coming for the West. You know, people still don't really believe it. You know, maybe it might happen, but maybe it won't. So that's the problem, you know. When will the rest for the dead take place? And the dead, we are all dead now, okay? Because when we are in the physical, it can be seen as being in death. And when we are in the spiritual realm, the ethereal realm, as a soul, we are in life. So sometimes it can see that when you die, you're actually born. And when you're born, you actually die. Do you understand that? So the moment we are born into the physical, the moment we are born onto the physical plane, we begin to die because we are in death, because physicality is death, okay? It's finite, right? But the soul is not. The soul is immortal, okay? And even, you know, how we talk about, well, you know, maybe when you get to the weighing and measuring, the weighing of the heart, and you don't pass the weighing of the heart, well, how can you say that the soul is immortal when people won't pass the weighing of the heart and make it through into the golden age and into the next cycle? Well, that's because the soul, the spirit, that goes back to the creator, okay? That is not destroyed. What is removed and destroyed is the mind of the soul, is the identity, the personality. That is wiped from existence. But the soul, as a substance, as a medium that houses, or that the mind is seated in, is immortal. Okay, of course it's immortal in the divine, okay, as is their identity, because they are, as I said, the direct extension of the creator. But mortals who pass the weighing of the heart, because they have aligned themselves with divine law and haven't transgressed divine laws and actively searched out knowledge, they are also, or their souls are also immortal, but their physical bodies aren't, and even the physical bodies of the divine are not immortal. Okay, so this whole Hollywood belief in immortality, you know, Highlander, the whole immortality, and there's another couple of movies where, you know, they lived, Old Guard, I think that was another one, they're all immortal, they live forever, or they don't live forever because they die every now and then. That was a stupid movie, by the way. Yeah, that's a Hollywood psyop, you know, where people think that, oh, I want to live forever, and they think it's the body. You know, it's not. It's your soul. It's your soul that is immortal. Okay. His disciples said to him, 24 prophets have spoken in Israel. They all spoke of you. He said to them, you have disregarded the living one who is in your presence and have spoken of the dead. Well, what are modern Christians doing right now? Again, I mean, they are, when we look at it in this context, okay, so when he's saying the 24 prophets have spoken in Israel, that's talking about the divine soul. Okay, 24 is a divine number. When you look at the divine tribes, you've got 288, 144, 96, 36, 24, and 12. Okay, there are other numbers, but they're the main numbers. Okay. Did I say 144? Yeah, 288, 144. Anyway, 108, that's another one. 27, 33. But anyway, that's kind of relating to other divine operations within the divine souls. But the number of the divine souls relates to 24. That's one of the numbers, and you'll find that it's often encoded in esoteric knowledge in those numbers: 12, 24, 144, 288, 36. Okay, those numbers are the numbers that the divine, that represent the divine soul. So that's what it's talking about. 24 prophets have spoken in Israel. We know that the true tribes of Israel are the divine souls. They're not a people. They're not an ethnic group of people that have called themselves Jews and have moved over to a place in Palestine and created a country called Israel. Okay, they are not who is being spoken of right now in these scriptures or any scriptures. Okay? Only God knows his own, and the true Jews, the true tribes of Israel, are represented in all of the races, and they are scattered to the four ends of the earth. Okay? And only God will bring his own back together. All right? And that will happen. That is coming. Those days are coming when they illuminate and they all realize who they are and that they're all part of one race and they're brothers and sisters, basically. So, and he says, you have disregarded the living one who was in your presence and have spoken of the dead. So what are they all doing, these modern Christians? They're all worshipping a dude that died thousands of years ago. Okay, poster boy Jesus. All right, their buddy, Jesus. And Jesus is actually among us now. Okay, walking among us now. And we won't know who Jesus is until the illumination. So don't even try and guess. All right? Don't even try and guess. And anyone that's calling themselves the Messiah or Jesus or whatever, don't even listen, because nobody knows. Until you see someone glowing and glowing more than everybody else and doing like amazing things that we have never seen a human do before, like godlike things, then you know, well, I'm pretty sure that's probably Jesus over there. Okay? So that is what's happening now. The modern Christians have been fooled by the Antichrist and they're all worshipping a figment of their imagination, poster boy Jesus. And they're not even supposed to be idolizing and idol worshipping anyway. It says that in their scriptures. It says, do not make an image of a man or a woman. Do not make any image of a man or a woman. And what do? They've got statues of Jesus and Mary and baby Jesus sitting in their churches right now, or standing in their churches right now, and they pray to them. Okay? So they just don't even follow their own scriptures. They've got no one to blame but themselves. 53. His disciples said to him, is circumcision useful or not? He said to them, if it were useful, the father would produce children already circumcised from their mother. Rather, the true circumcision in spirit has become profitable in every respect. Okay, don't really need to go there, do I? Pretty much self-explanatory. The true circumcision in spirit has become profitable in every respect. And we are how we are meant to be, okay? If little boys were meant to be circumcised, well, then God would have created them that way, because we were created perfectly fine, okay? So, Jesus said, congratulations to the poor, for to you belongs heaven's kingdom. Remember what I was saying before about you're better off being a poor person than you are being a rich person, because a rich person has a lot harder path to find his true nature, to find his divine nature. Okay, so be thankful that you have your challenges, because it makes you stronger. It makes you be able to withstand challenges. It tempers you. Okay, it brings forth, it gets rid of all of that dross and that, in the impurities. That's how you remove them, through your tests and challenges. So be thankful for that. Okay, don't be envious of someone who's rich, because this is it for them. I mean, that's as good as it's going to get. All right, so yeah, forget about those guys who think that you know, they are superior because they've got a lot of material wealth, because it's really meaningless in the end. All right, we're nearly at the end of this page, so I might just try and get to the end, and then we can start at a new page for the next stream, because we're at 2:04, so I'll go a little bit over. I never stick to my own rules, do I? All right. Jesus said, whoever does not hate okay, someone brought this up today, yeah, an atheist. Jesus said, whoever does not hate father and mother cannot be my disciple, and whoever does not hate brothers and sisters and carry the cross as I do will not be worthy of me. So that's just relating to, it's been misinterpreted to be hate. It doesn't mean to be hate. It means that you need to, if you have to turn your back on your family to walk this path to truth, that's what you have to do. You have to give up your family. You have to give up your friends, okay? And you have to be prepared that they are going to walk that wide path, okay? And you can't help them. You can do your best to help them, but at the end of the day, if they don't want to listen, then you just have to continue walking that path alone. So that is pretty much what that one means. And if you, you know, if you feel that a relationship with your parents and your family is more important than a relationship with yourself and the Christ within you, then you're not worthy of the Christ within you. That's what that comes down to. 56, Jesus said, whoever has come to know the world has discovered a carcass, and whoever has discovered a carcass of that person, the world is not worthy. So again, we're just talking about worldliness, okay? When you understand the truth about the world, you know that it's a place of death, a place of the finite, especially in these times, okay? It's not the extent of existence, okay? It's only one fragment of everything. One part of who we are is we live on this physical plane in these times as well. It's only a very small time that we live each lifetime as well. You know, have a look. Okay, I reduced it to 72 years because it's 1 degree of the great year is 72 years. So really, you know, when you look at everything that's happened, even over the last 100 years, and you break that down into 72 years, you know, it's only a small fraction of everything. So even now, the times that we're living in, even though they seem to be so full on, and I have noticed a lot of people are starting to flip out. I don't know about you guys, but I'm noticing a lot more videos about, and they call them Karens, okay? Now, I'm sorry, but someone that's having a meltdown and swinging an axe at someone or hitting someone's car with a sledgehammer or, you know, that's not a Karen, all right? That's a psychopath. There's a difference. A Karen is someone that demands to see the manager because she didn't get her side of fries, you know, and she makes a big scene. That's a Karen. Someone that jumps the counter and starts punching the person that was serving them in the face, that's a psychopath. Okay, notice how they're just calling them all Karens now, okay, to normalize it, all right? That's what they're doing. That's why they created that word Karen, and then they associated it to this behavior. Well, I'm seeing a lot more people with psychopathic tendencies. Okay, people are flipping out because society is not as stable as we've all believed it to be. Things that we thought would never change and that were always the same for decades and decades and decades are now unstable, okay? Even the political parties, the way they're acting is no longer, I mean, you can't look to Biden and think that he is a, you know, Americans used to be able to look to their presidents and feel safe and secure, and this man that was often very charismatic, very projected strength, you know, held the world stage, was respected by all other countries. And now you look at Biden. Does he exude any of those character traits? And so all of these people that had looked to their president to be indication of their own stability, okay, and security in the world, they aren't seeing that. Even these leftists aren't seeing that. Okay, so they're starting to fritz out. Okay, their brains going on the fritz now. So be careful out there, guys, because it's getting, it's getting a bit scary, a bit dicey. Okay, last one, and then I'm going to finish up the stream tonight, guys. All right, so Jesus said the Father's kingdom is like a person who has good seed. His enemy came during the night and sowed weeds among the good seed. The person did not let the workers pull up the weeds, but said to them, "No, otherwise you might go and pull up the weeds and pull up the wheat along with them. For on the day of the harvest, the weeds will be conspicuous and will be pulled up and burned." I don't really think I need to explain that one. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Just really going back to what I was saying before about what all of the cultures are talking about, that we come to the end of the cycle, and then this is the process that happens with all souls. So we can't read the Gospels, we can't look at parts of this scripture and pick out the parts that we like and apply the parts that we like, but then ignore the other parts, okay? We can't. We have to see it all for what it is, even the bits that we don't like, okay? Even the ugly bits. And that's a bit that, means that we have a responsibility to not transgress divine law, okay? Every action has a consequence. That's that's the truth. And you just can't, I can't pretty it up. I wish I could. I know that I lose so many of my subscribers and so many people that follow the information until I start talking about that, and then suddenly they just don't want to listen to it anymore. They disappear. They go and listen to something else. I wish I didn't have to be the bearer of this news. But if I'm going to be someone that walks the path of truth, I have to say all of it. I can't just pick out the parts that are popular and that people want to hear and ignore the rest. I have to give all of the knowledge. I have to give all of the information. So I think that's what I'll leave tonight's live stream on. So next week we are going to be starting at 58. I didn't see any questions in the live stream, in the chat, so I'm going to leave it here and not have to answer any questions or anything. And so we can try and keep it at least around 2 hours-ish. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed that live stream tonight. I think we covered quite a bit. So I will, all right, good on you, Aussie. You had to throw something in the stream. You had to do it, didn't you? Just as I was going to try and be just over a little bit of 2 hours, you had to go and throw a spanner in the works. All right, I'm going to have to read what you wrote now. You know that. There is a fascinating old Disney called Donald Duck in Mathmagic Land. It's all to do with the golden ratio. Amazing how they actually used to educate through cartoons. Another good one about corn. Oh, okay, yes. Well, what they do is they poison the well. So they take something that is based in truth and then they use it to push their falsehoods or to push some other type of nonsense or disinformation. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was something else in that cartoon that was pushing other information that was, disinformation. Yeah, or sometimes they just actually put out information so that they can say that they've covered it, so you're not ignoring it. Like, oh no, well we actually covered that information. We're not concealing it. We've given it to you. So there's that as well. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to leave it here, guys. So have a good week. I may do a live stream on Tuesday night because I do have a little bit of information that I wanted to give you guys in relation to something that I was talking about in the last stream in regards to the solar weather and the space weather and how that's relating to our planet. In fact, it's something very related to what I was saying, literally confirming what I was saying. So I might, if I'm feeling it, do a live stream on Tuesday night. Otherwise, I will definitely bring that to you at some point because it is quite important, and I have posted it in Shift of the Ages anyway. All right, guys, well, I am going to leave it here now. Thank you for staying with me to the very end, anybody that has. Thank you for moderating, Anna. And I'm going to leave it here for now. As always, peace out.